you supposed to have some kind of reverence for God. You supposed to be revered in the church or whatever, and you land with somebody in the church. I'm like, so that kind of beat me up or whatever. But like we actually did life together, so it was like a brotherhood, not a church. Like, dang, this Bama's excommunicating me. Like, what's going on? I felt like Bama's just turned their back on me and just left me out there. Even still, somebody had my back through this. Like, they ain't just kicked me to the curb. And I felt like that's what everybody else was doing. And so that played on my mind also. So I was just in a real dark place. And I could not, I'm still praying or whatever. I went into prayer, fasting and all this, and it was like nothing is working. Like I could not ease I had like a flame. Like my soul was just on fire for vengeance. And he done threatened my peoples, my family, this and that, such and such. So I'm like, I gotta kill this dude. And so I went on several different missions trying to terminate this joker. And we had a couple of run-ins where I know it was God that it didn't play out the way I wanted to play out. But we had a couple of run-ins where I didn't have my gun on me, or I did have my gun on me, but it was just in the truck and he got away. The whole thing was God. Cause I'm not a killer. I ain't no gangster. But like when I get mad, it's just that I just go into a place where like I don't care about the consequences or whatever. Like I don't care, but like, duh, I just feel like I just gotta do this now. You cost me everything. Like what else I got to lose? I ain't got no relationships. Like everybody that love me, I feel like they turned their back on me. I ain't got no girl. Like what else I got to lose? And so I was just there with it. And time went past or whatever. And I'm still mad the whole time. I'm still mad, this and that, and not going to church and this and that. And I'm just praying. I labored in God for so long. Like people don't know like how vicious this war was for me and how much growth. Like God was talking to me so much in it, and I was just battling like, but God, I ain't do nothing wrong and this. And God was like, this is the test. This is where like love is going to have to show whether love is love or whether it ain't. Like whether what's real and what ain't real. Like, am I still God of your life, or you gonna let your emotions, and your feelings dictate how you gonna move forward in life? And there came a point in time where I was just like, God, you are God. Like Jesus, you are Lord. Like that's just what it's gonna have to be, because I ain't killing myself. I was depressed, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm not killing myself. But I prayed one night. I was like, God, man, I said, like, if this is what it's gonna take to serve you, then you might as well take me out. I lie to you not. I said, you might as well take me out tonight, because like I can't bite this bullet. I said, I'm not gonna serve you if I gotta do this. So you might as well just go ahead and now wake me up in the morning. And needless to say, he did wake me up the next morning, and I was just like, why? And my mind is just like, why? And being in this season alone hurts so bad, because I feel like you ain't got nobody on your side. And I'm sure jokers was praying for me and everything, but it came to a point where it had got back to me that people was running their mouth because somebody that's not connected to me or the church or none of this came back to me like, Zoe, what's going on, man? I hear you carrying a gun around. You got a problem with this dude. I'm like, how you know? And so I went off on everybody. Like I tried to call jokers answered the phone at first. I ain't try to call everybody, but when the first 2 calls didn't go through, I just put out a mass text like, look, man, I don't appreciate people running their mouth, this and that, such and such. I was like, keep my name out y'all mouths, this and that. And I was like, I went hard. I'm talking about these my brothers in Christ. I went hard on them, and I was wrong. Like I was dead wrong, but I went hard on them because I was mad. And I felt like jokers running their mouth is going to get me in more trouble. If something do happen to this dude, it's all going to come back to me. And so, but time went past, and I'm worn. I'm just trying to focus on God. People at my job, I was building the African American Museum at this time. People at my job didn't even know like what I was going through. Like I had to hold it together at work and everything. And still, this was crazy, still ministering to people at work and their afflictions and everything. But I'm going home and I'm on my own and I'm battling. I'm talking about I'm warring with myself. My mind is going everywhere. Like I'm going to do this. Meanwhile, I'm still on the hunt for this dude, and I'm carrying my gun to work with me. Like I'm talking about, we was parking at the Ronald Reagan building. I had to start getting out my car before we go into the building because they had metal detectors and all that, and have my boss just parking everything. And when we leave it, just have him meet me on the street to get back in it. So I'm carrying my junk with me to work and everything. And I'm thinking like, he's still looking for me, because somebody brought something to my attention on Facebook. Like he talking about niggas hiding, niggas going to hiding or whatever. They say they about this and that, and I see it, and so I start doing little slick stuff, like trying to bait them in. Like I would post something and I would turn my location on so it'll say in Fort Washington or whatever. Like, cause he came to my apartment when he shot my truck up or whatever, so he know where I live at. So I would put little things like turn my location on so that when I post my status, like, nigga, if you looking for me, you can come find me. I'm here right now. I'm gonna be here all night. But it never worked out that way. But long story short, 2018, man, and this is a testimony of how God could work things out. And if you just be obedient. But I would for a long time. Talking about, like, I was going in prayer, I was fasting time, just for myself. Because I ain't like being in that dark place of not caring or whatever, in that rage. I just ain't like being there because it's not healthy for myself. It's not healthy for the people around me. And God had told me, I'm just driving one day, 2018. God told me, he said, call him. I'm like, and at that point in time, like, things died down a little, but his name, just to hear his name would still make me mad. Like, don't bring this dude up to me. Like, I don't want to hear nothing. Like, it would still make me mad, but God was like, call him. He said, call him and apologize. I'm like, why, God? What did I do wrong? Like, what I got to apologize for? Like, what I need to talk to him for? I ain't do nothing wrong. He should be apologizing to me. But God was like, call him. And so I called him, right? And God had already prepared his heart. And this was crazy about it. He had already prepared his heart and everything. And I called him. The dude might not have ever called me. See, this is the thing with obedience. He might not have ever called me. But I heard what I needed to hear from him in order for me to forgive. Because I wanted to forgive. But I felt like I can't forgive this dude because he ain't sorry for what he did. Like, when I see him, it could still be on. And so when I called him, you know, we had talked for at least like an hour and a half. And he apologized and was saying, man, it's a misunderstanding, this and that, man. Like, man, my bad about all these things going on and this and that, such and such or whatever. And I was just like, man, I apologize too, whatever, such and such. And like, from that day forward, like, it took a long time for my relationship to be restored with my brothers at the church because I really still didn't want to go back. But God was telling me, like, go back here. Like, regardless of how you feel, these men, they know me. Like, I know them. They my servants or whatever. And you do have whatever. It wasn't revealed to me why at the time, but he was like, but you do have a part here. These people are still your family. This is how you're going to learn how to love through adversity. This is how you're going to have to learn to love through your feelings, through your emotions. So I ended up going back and our relationships just started getting restored again. God started to restore those things. And like, man, I give all credit to God for that, man. My Lord and Savior Jesus, through the grace imputed through me, through Jesus. That's the only way that these things could have came to be. And me and the dude to this day, we cool. I mean, we don't like go out to dinner together and everything. We ain't hanging out at clubs and all that. But we cool. When I see him, we dap up, we embrace him. Like, it's crazy because my brother had told me, Walt told me a couple years back, but when all this had started, he told me, he was like, because he know him. Like, the dude play kickball and everything, so Walt know him. He was like, man, y'all got more in common than y'all do different. He was like, I wouldn't be surprised if y'all end up being friends. And I was like, nigga, I don't see it. That ain't happening. Like, this nigga done shot my truck up. I don't know what you talking about with this friend stuff. Like, where we from, you ain't friends with niggas after they threaten you in such a manner. But we cool now and everything. And so, like, he prophesied that, he ain't even know. But man, that's just how Christ worked with that thing. But there's more to the story that I'll share in the future, because like, especially with my relationship with my men and everything. So I share that again. But that's just something, man, how God restored that thing, how he worked that out. And it's 2020 right now, and we good, and I'm loving it right now. So I'm just anxious. That's just something, just being obedient, man. Like, it'll show the fruits even through the times where you just feel like you can't anymore. Like, just crying out, man, and then showing your obedience. Like, God, he wants that submission from us. If we just let him work those things out, he'll do it in his time, and it may not look like how we want it to look. And so that's just that's part of the testimony with that. And we'll hit it again later on.